Hi, my name is Brian, and I am going to tell you how to write a marketing case study in 5 easy steps. If you saw my other video on what is a marketing case study, you know that it's simply a good story with a happy ending where your product or service or whatever is key in bringing that about for one of your clients. Step number 1 is finding a good story, and that means finding one of your clients, or if you're writing the case study for a client, finding one of their clients who's got a really good success story where their product or service was integral in bringing that about. And actually, sometimes this is the hardest part of doing a case study because these people just don't come out of the woodwork. And so you need to talk with salespeople or with customer service, account managers, anybody that would be in contact with clients who are especially happy and have had a major problem solved. Okay, so then the next part of that, of course, would be to get permission from your company or who the sales rep for that client, and then reach out to the client and in some way make sure that they're okay with being featured in a case study, and then really communicate to them that it's going to be a big positive for their company. You're probably going to put it on your website, in your newsletter, and you're going to say, wow, you know, these are some great clients. You're going to say really good things about them. Okay, step 2 is figure out the specifics of your story. And this means you kind of need to find out about this client, the details about them, why your product was integral in solving their problem. And this is something where you don't need to talk with the client about it. Probably the sales rep or the account rep can kind of fill you in the details, because you're going to do a story, and a story means you're going to focus on certain aspects to kind of take a little narrative. So there's a lot you're going to ignore, and you're going to focus on some very specific things. And you need to do this so that you're prepared for step 3, which is to get ready for the interview and do the interview. Yeah, step 3, you need to interview the client. In order to prepare for that, you sort of have your narrative down. You know what the story is going to be. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to write the questions so that when you talk with the client, you can steer them into telling you exactly what you need to know to tell the story. And it's really important because as you write it, your headline is going to be in the form of so-and-so had a problem and we helped them, or, you know, Acme Widgets helped, you know, the City Water Bureau solve this, whatever the problem is. So it can't just be like an announcement, just so-and-so, you know, bought $1 million worth of our product, because that's a press release. That's not a story. That's an announcement. And so there has to be a problem. So you want to write your questions, your interview questions, to bring up kind of, what's the background of your company, you know, what's your primary business, what are your challenges, what was this big problem you guys faced, how did you discover us, your solution, and then how did the solution solve your problem, and kind of going forward, how good has it been. You're going to plan for a 20-minute interview. And so you want at least 7 questions, but then kind of in the back of your mind, you may want some follow-up questions, because you're going to want detail. You're going to want the ramifications of when they had that problem, you know, it was causing these 3 problems. And often as you're interviewing a client, they will just tell you that because they're remembering what it was like. So now that you've got your questions for the interview, then you need to reach out to the client and you need to get permission and set a time. Do not just call them up out of the blue and expect to take 20 minutes of their time for an interview. And then you may want to record the interview. I found this really helpful. And so if you do the interview over Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams, there's a record feature. If you're just going to do it by phone and you have a free Google number, you can record the incoming call that way. You could do it like on a speakerphone and record it. But sometimes it's just really helpful to have it recorded so that you can refer to it later in case you have any questions. So also another tip, because you really want to set these people at ease, like the day before the interview, you're just going to confirm with them, yes, we're going to talk at 1 o'clock tomorrow, by the way, these are the questions I'm going to ask you, because we don't want this to be like 60 minutes where we just show up at their door and hit them with questions that they haven't had a chance to think about. And so you want to take away the fear factor, the fear of the unknown, so they're really comfortable and they've had a chance to think about them. And I don't know, maybe there's a question that they said, well, we don't want to answer that. So anyway, it's just, I've always found it really puts the interviewee at ease if you can send them the questions ahead of time. Oh, by the way, I would add, as you're talking with clients, just so they know, tell them that they can look at it, because you may need to edit their quotes a little bit and they need to approve those. They probably won't remember exactly what they said, but they need to approve it in its final form. And then always give them an idea of when it's going out and in what, you know, what media, if it's going to a mailing list or the website or whatever, where they can find it, and send them a link, because you want them to feel really good about this. You want them to be able to tell their clients. So, okay, the fourth thing, you've got your interview, you got all your information, but you've got to get one more piece of information. That's probably through research or through the client's website. You've got to find out what makes this client really special. Like, what makes them just a cool company they're a winner, they're out there, they're number one in something, they're remarkable, they're a trendsetter. And as the old PR rule of thumb is that everybody is number one in something. And so you're going to be able to figure out what is it that makes this client really special. They're the leading provider of blank for this region, whatever it is. Because otherwise it's just a story about, well, some nobody who wasn't very good at what they did, picked your product. It's nowhere near going to be as convincing to the reader reading the case study than if it's like this category leader that picked you guys. They're winners and they like to work with winners. So yeah, step number 4, figure out what makes this client special, what makes them number one. Okay, and so tip number 5, I'm fitting all the writing in one tip. It's write a good story. So start with that headline that talks about the problem that they were having. Don't just announce that they're using your product. I mean, that headline is, here was the problem, so-and-so helped solve this problem that was causing this or whatever it was. And then you start your story out and you say, wow, this company that is, they're known for this and they're leaders and they're really cool, because in step 4, you found out what they're number one at, was having this problem. And then from your interview, you want to throw in quotes from the person you spoke to. And actually, that's another reason to record it, because you can get their exact wording for these quotes that kind of illustrate, the challenge they were having. Maybe it talks about how they discovered you guys, or their decision in picking you guys, and then how you guys helped implement the solution, and then how terrific life has been ever since they started working with you guys and you solved it. And as I said before, a good case study is like a Berenstain Bears storybook. And I'm thinking specifically of the one where they're eating too much junk food and the doctor comes in and kind of straightens them out. And in fact, in my next video, I'm going to go through that Berenstain Bears book, and I'm going to show you how it has elements that you can use to write a really good case study. That's how to write a case study. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.